Good afternoon. I'm Hank Giesecke with Shine the Light here at Prescott eNews. Thank you for joining us today. We're very honored to have Daniel McCarthy with us today, a concerned citizen, and of course was a candidate for the Senate earlier. And lots of things are going on, as we all know. I mean, we've got lots of issues to deal with today. And so thank you for being here, Daniel.
Thank you.
And one of the things that we've been wrestling with, of course, and it's going to take a while, is both at the state, local, and federal level is what is the deal with the party, the Republican Party? We've kind of like we've walked away, or we've got a lot of people within it who've walked away from the foundational values of the Republican Party, and we need to get back to that. I mean, we're at a very critical time in our nation's history, and we need to get back to that.
Yeah, the Republican Party, at the top, the same people control the Republican Party that control the Democrat Party.
Okay.
So the reality of it is, I'll give you a prime example. Ronna McDaniels is the head of the Republican Party.
Right.
That's Mitt Romney's niece.
Niece, yes.
So the Republican Party, in essence, is a front organization. It's smoke and mirrors. It's fake.
Yeah.
It's a way to control the concerned citizens and pacify them.
Yeah.
See, because think about it like this. I mean, if you wanted to control what's going on, you divide and conquer. I mean, these are old tactics. These are wartime tactics.
Sure.
So the Republican Party, not the grassroots, not the PCs, right? But the establishment owns the party. So what's going on with the party is it's completely broken. It's shattered. It's been rendered useless.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate. I still actually am a PC for the Republican Party.
Okay.
I've been working within the Republican Party for a long time.
Sure.
So I come to this conclusion very soundly.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Yes. Well, and I like the fact that you are the kind of candidate and the kind of PC, member that the founders envisioned. What do I mean by that? People who actually have real life experience.
Sure.
I mean, we've got so many people, particularly in Washington and all over, who have never run a lemonade stand. And the thing I think that concerns a lot of people is that, I don't know if you read Cotavilla's book about 5 years ago, but he's called The Ruling Class, which we have this group that you're referring to, both Republicans and Democrats, and then you have we the people.
That's right.
And that's an issue that needs to be dealt with, in a sense, in both parties, but of course we're talking Republicans.
Sure, so let's think about this. I mean, what's a great way to control the population other than controlling the opposition? So, a lot of people say it's red team versus blue team, but it's actually like professional wrestling. It's all acting, it's theater, it's fake.
Yeah.
They control their opposition, they control the people, they control the money flow. We've been hoodwinked as Americans, and this is a communist insurrection. What you're dealing with, and what everyone needs to understand is we're in a war. And it's the most complicated and sophisticated war we have ever been in as a country.
Absolutely, got that right.
So, unfortunately, all of us are going to have to kind of stop what we're doing, and that's what I've chosen to do. I've set aside all of my business ventures. I'm still able to function in a high capacity with a lot of my business stuff, but realistically, I'm dedicating my time towards fixing this mess.
Okay, yes.
And it is a mess.
Yes, it is. Well, and we've been so infiltrated. I mean, it's one of those things where we don't realize that, for example, China, and that's one of the things we'll talk about on Shine the Light, is that we've been infiltrated with a whole different worldview, and we have corporate people, government people, who, because of the money and so forth and the power, are more beholden to China than they are to the United States.
That's right.
I mean, I'm getting up in years, and when I was a kid, for anyone to stand up and say that they're not for America first, I mean, they would have run them out of town on a rail.
That's right. That's right.
And yet now we see that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so you're right. I mean, it's a very foundational fight that we're in.
Well, and it defies the law of nature, because the Achilles heel to the globalist and communist invasion, the Achilles heel is the lust for freedom that we all have.
Sure.
So behind the Iron Curtain and behind that Great Wall of China, you have the majority of the people that crave and yearn for freedom and individual rights.
Yes.
So what we have on our side is the truth. And we have the beauty of what individual rights and individual freedom means.
Yes.
So what you're seeing right now happen, and we started this in Arizona, is the day after the day after I was stolen, and make no mistake about it, I was stolen from. Arizona was stolen from in the Republican primary.
Yeah.
And the day after, I explained to my people that we were going to need to form another party. The reason why is because just like our founders exhausted all legal options. So a lot of people, want to run for the hills and they're, they think that it's time for all sorts of things. No, there's still a lot of political options.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things we need to do politically.
Yes.
And peaceably. So the Patriot Party allows us in 2022 to have access to the ballots. See, your Republican Party, they're the ones that did this to Trump.
Yeah.
They're the ones that do this to conservatives like myself.
Okay.
So it's an interesting time, but I'm of the belief that it's better to shine a light than to curse the darkness.
That's right.
And
yes.
So that's what I try to do, and that's what I've been doing is just trying to shine the light. And the rest has been falling into place. If you go to stoptherhinos.com, by the way, if you go to stoptherhinos.com,
Okay.
You can join the Patriot Party movement.
Okay.
A lot of stuff going on.
Now, is that tactic, my concern always is that third parties have tried this before. We got Ross Perot years ago and so forth. Is it to kind of come along and reform the Republican Party, or to completely step away, or kind of what's your strategy?
I'm glad you brought this up because this is a big concern. There really has never been an attempt at what we're doing. We're not trying to form a national party.
Okay.
So, for instance, there has been over 45 states, I believe, that have copied what we've done, and we want them to. We recommend that. But the Arizona Patriot Party is for Arizona. Our goal is not to produce candidates.
Okay.
Our goal is just to ensure that we can maintain integrity.
Oh, okay.
The goal is that we have access to the ballots.
Yes.
Because what I noticed is that based on when I took inventory of our state legislative body, I immediately recognized that there was an unlikelihood of changing the voting laws in the state of Arizona. And sure enough, we're halfway through the session here, and not one of our state legislators has, frankly, done a good job of introducing. And by the way, we gave them a version of what we think would be sufficient to fix the voting problems.
Okay.
A 1 day, 1 vote change.
Sure.
None of them, unfortunately, did that. Now, so why we need a party is not to produce candidates and run against Republicans and splitting vote. That has nothing to do with it.
Right.
It's all about getting access to those ballot rooms.
Okay.
The next election cycle. So I'm glad you asked it. No, we're not going to split any votes. There was a lot of races in 2020 where not one Republican even ran.
Yeah.
So in situations like that, yeah, we may throw a Patriot Party candidate up.
Yeah. Well, and I think we see that across the nation. I mean, we have a lot of areas where where they just don't have people running, and
That's
so
right.
we got to get representation in
That's
there.
it.
And I think, to me, that's part of the thing which we can talk about again. We'll on Shine the Light at some point, get you back. Talk about the whole issue of the states starting to take back the power.
That's right.
I mean, it's gotten way too concentrated in Washington. We've got way too many things in Washington that aren't in the Constitution.
Yes.
And so we're walking away from the wisdom of the founders. We need to come back to that.
Fast.
Yeah, fast. Yeah.
Yeah. That's why it's so imperative that, again, we mobilize together. You hear a lot of disinformation out there about what I'm doing and what the Patriot Party is all about. I am not the Patriot Party.
Yeah.
I'm a donor.
Yeah.
I don't even like party business, right? I don't want to be I'd rather serve in office.
Yes.
So I tell the audience that if anything else, if you want to be an activist, meaning that you want to roll up your sleeves and actually go to work on fixing this. Not just going to an LD meeting,
Yeah.
And yelling and screaming at each other. The Patriot Party is the party for activists.
Good. Well, and I think that's important because I think so many people, we found this in the Tea Party, is that it got where it was wonderful to get people together, but nothing ever happened.
Yeah.
Toward the end particularly, they came and listened, and that was great, and it was great to inform them, but the whole idea was to arm them to go do something.
That's it.
And so that's the trick here, and I think that's awesome.
Well, and I think to your point, what we've done is we've reconciled what the Tea Party did in terms of mistakes that they made.
Sure.
And one of the things we did notice though was in 2008 when the Tea Party really started to form.
Started going.
If you remember, in 2010, we had sweeping wins in Arizona's state legislative body.
Yeah.
I mean, we took over the state legislative body. I mean, I was on the ground. You know, I remember when Obamacare was passed. I was on the ground, you know, protesting. So all I'm doing is what I've always been doing.
Sure.
The difference now is that we have a huge following.
Yes.
So I appreciate the support from everybody and the patience from everybody. I have gotten countless. I mean, the comments and the notes and the things that I get from people is just, it's overwhelming.
Yeah.
So you know, we're going to continue this march forward and take back our state.
Well, and I think your timing is right. I think the American people look at this last election and know something's not right.
That's right.
I mean, to have people changing the laws in these different states and nothing done about it. I mean, part of the problem we have with this ruling class is no accountability.
That's right.
And our system based on that. I mean, we raise our kids that way.
That's right.
And so we need to get back to the basics, so to speak, whether it be our moral foundation, and we can talk a lot about that, we will on Shine the Light, but also in terms of our constitutional thing. It's interesting, Larry Arnn, who heads Hillsdale College, wrote a great book on Churchill. Mm-hmm. And it was one of the things that Churchill saw early on in the World War II precedent is that constitutionalism in Europe was going away.
Yep.
And it was a one-party rule routine.
Yep.
And we know that all through history, that's very dangerous.
Very dangerous.
Yeah.
And that's what we're seeing. The Republicans and Democrats are working together. It's a uniparty system.
Yeah.
In order for us to fix this, it's a surgery. Very complicated.
Yeah.
But in my estimation, this is my belief. I think God has demonstrated to the world what He is willing to let the United States do to defend ourselves.
Yeah.
And I have a belief that we are going to eradicate communism in my lifetime. I believe that we're going to do it in spectacular fashion. I have more faith that Americans will wake up to this attack and we will win this war.
Yeah.
But we again, it all starts by recognizing that we're in a war, and you know.
Well, and that's a good point. I see now that one of the things that's worrying China a lot is the fact that the Christian group, which is all in house churches and hidden in China, is growing by leaps and bounds.
Yes.
And so hopefully we'll see that, see our church here wake up and stand up. It's always interesting to me, everybody quotes 2 Chronicles 7:14, but if you read it, it says, if my people will turn from their wicked ways. We need to turn. We need to have a revival. And so, you know, because that's our foundation.
Well, and one of the things that I like to point to people is also, Revelations 3:16, lukewarm will be spat out.
That's right.
We don't have any more time for lukewarm. There's no time for wishy-washy. We need constitutional conservatism restored in the state.
Yeah.
We need to clean up our backyard.
Yep.
There's some good bills, by the way, running through the state legislature. So what I don't want to say to the audience is that it's all gone.
No.
Sure. We're disappointed that election integrity hasn't been handled.
Right.
But it will be.
Yeah.
And we do have some good state legislators. We have some really good state legislators.
Yes.
And we've identified who those people are. I'm working with them.
Yes.
I'm in constant communication with our best state legislators.
Yeah.
And we have some patriots. So, you know, again, I'm optimistic. I'm not saying that because I want to give people false hope. What I'm saying is that I talk to people now around the state, and it's constant. What I hear is they've given up. And they're disenfranchised. And I have to just tell everybody that now is not the time for that.
No.
And if you try, you're going to regret it. So plug in more, join our mailing list so you can be a part of a group of activists that we're going to take our state back.
Yes. Well, and I think we need to get back that whole sense that it's we the people, or the king. Everybody else is hired help.
That's right.
And so,
That's right.
You know, if you will. And so we need to be involved. So I take my hat off to what you guys are doing with this because, like you say, it's basically to get us citizens involved. If we voice ourselves enough, we can make a difference,
Absolutely,
like you say,
we can. Absolutely.
and turn this around instead of being asleep at the switch.
That's right.
And of course, we've been... as you pointed out earlier too, we also have to be discerning because all through history, leaders have used crises, quote unquote, whether it be pandemics or whether it be global warming or all this kind of stuff, to panic people we're not to be fearful.
Well, right now we have record high stock market. The economy is doing, frankly, extremely well.
Sure.
If you were in the middle of a pandemic, a real pandemic, I assure you, your living would not look the way it's working, right?
No.
Now they're double masking you. Now, almost a year ago, now remember this, I told people a year ago, I said, we're living under an attack.
Yeah.
I was actually on one of your guys' shows, and I spoke to your audience, and I said, the coronavirus is an attack on your country.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think that's been proven to be correct.
Yeah.
The good news is that, like I said before, I think the youth of this country is going to be very rebellious on the submission ritual that our government just put them in.
Yeah.
And I think the younger Americans are going to wake up and one day say, I'm not going to live under a double mask,
right.
Needle in my arm life
Right.
That they're trying to create. So at least that's my hope.
Well, and that's a good point, because what we forget sometimes is all through history, people have used pandemic kind of stuff, poison stuff, to try and get control and power.
That's right.
In the Middle Ages, I couldn't believe it. What they would do sometimes is they would fling poisonous snakes into cities.
That's
And
right.
you think, boy, that's kind of an interesting deal. Or they would poison well water or whatever. So this is not a new routine.
No, it's not. It's a clear attack. I mean, when they started to do the 2-week flatten the curve, if you use the numbers and you reverse engineer the numbers that the government gave you, half the world's population would have been infected by the time they started this last March.
That's right.
I mean, so I looked at it and I said, this is a clear attack. And unfortunately, a lot of people can't believe it. They can't believe that a government would be that evil.
Yeah.
But the largest killer in the world, the number one killer in the world, is the government.
It's the government. So
No disease, it's the government. So people just need to understand our world history, and it's a fragile. Freedom is a fragile thing.
Sure.
And
well, your point's a good one, is it? And Summit Ministries, which is a great training of young people, it does that all the time. It does worldview training, and the whole point always is your worldview has consequences.
Yeah.
And so if you think that like flying airplanes into buildings takes you to paradise, then you're going to act quite differently than if you know that isn't. So
in comparison to a Judeo-Christian foundation, where you believe that we will have to answer for our actions.
Yes.
So
well, we're made in His image, and I think that's one of the things on our issues that we talk about here on this program and shining the light is, let's shine the light so that our youth and many others, including a lot of our pastors who've come through seminaries. You remember Marx in the late 1800s. Marx was very clear. He says, we're going to march through the institutions.
That's right.
And make them communist. And he's been very successful at that.
Yeah.
And so we need to really be standing up, particularly as Christians. It's interesting. We, for years, done mission work in Africa.
Okay.
Those people have nothing materially, but they're the most excited Christians you can ever see.
That's right.
Why? Because they recognize we're only here for a short time, then they get to go home.
That's right.
So, well, I take my hat off to you, what
Thank
you're
you.
doing, because it's what best can people do now to kind of get involved in what you guys are doing?
Sure. You've got to sign up to get onto our mailing list, because what we're sending out to our people is action. We have a great example right now. There's a bill working its way through the state house, 2770.
Okay.
This would make it to where the government can't mandate that a business has to require their customers to wear a mask.
Okay.
So we believe that that's just common sense.
Sure.
If you're a JFK Democrat out there, why would you think that the government should be able to tell your business that you have to mask their customers? It's how you breathe.
Right. Yeah.
So there's bills like that, and what we do is we send out to our databases when we have people holding that bill up. We tell our databases, hey, this person's holding this up.
Okay.
Like right now, Joanne Osborne
Okay.
is holding this up.
Really?
So Joanne Osborne is out there. We tell our audience, we say, hey, call Joanne Osborne.
Yeah.
Go find, if you know Joanne Osborne and you know where she, go talk to her.
Send her a letter, call her, yeah.
So we are very aggressive in our approach.
Good.
And I get a bad rep a lot of times for that, because a lot of people think that Maybe we're a little too aggressive. My argument is I don't think we're being aggressive enough.
Right. Yeah.
I think now's the time for action. So if you join our mailing list at stoptherhinos.com, again, I'm not a spokesperson for the party. I'm just a large donor for the Patriot Party. And I suggest everyone else becomes one as well. Donate your time, your talent, and your treasure to the Patriot Party, because we have to do something different. We can't,
Okay, so it's go to stoptherhino.com.
Stop the Rhinos.
Rhinos.
Yep. RINOS, by the
Okay.
way. I see a lot of people online, they put an H on the Rhinos. It's,
Okay, right.
It's not the animal, it's the bad Republicans.
Yes, that's right. Well, good. Well, Daniel, I really appreciate you
Thank you.
being here.
Thank
You
you.
got to come back and keep
Absolutely.
us posted as to what's going on. Thank you for being here in Prescott with us, and good luck on what you're doing. We have got a lot of work to do.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank
God
you.
bless.
Yep, thank you.